Now I'm going to go through the corrections of the homework from yesterday. So I printed them out because hopefully this will be fairly quick work, and just let me know if there's anything you don't understand. First question asks us to write down the size of the angles marked with letters in each of the following diagrams. They haven't asked us to explain why, but it should be good for us to maybe discuss why. So these are vertically opposite angles, which means that A is 32 degrees. And then these guys are supplementary angles. They add up to 180 degrees. So that gives me 148. B is 148 degrees. Right, next one we have parallel lines. So we're going to be looking for corresponding or alternate angles. Here's my Z shape. So I know that C must be 46 degrees. Then C and D are supplementary. So 180 minus 46 gives me 134. D is 134 degrees. The next one, again, I have parallel lines. So this time I'm going to look at corresponding angles, my F shape there. So these guys are the same, and F is 120 degrees. Then E and F are supplementary. So E is 60 degrees. They add up to 180. Parallel lines again. So I see my Z shape here, meaning that H is 70 degrees, and G and the 70 degrees are supplementary, so G is 110 degrees. They add up to 180. Now, what I have here, I've got two steps. So I have an F shape along my parallel lines, which means that this is 40, and so J must be 180 take 40, 140 degrees. Remember, the F or the Z that we're finding is always going to be along the parallel line. So find the parallel lines first and rotate the page if you need to make it a bit easier. This one here then, I have parallel lines, so here's my Z shape, meaning that L is 80 degrees and M must be 100 degrees because they are supplementary. They add up to 180 degrees. Okay, hopefully question 1 was straightforward enough. Let's look at question 2. Find the size of the angle marked with a letter in each of the following triangles. So for this one, we know that the 3 angles must add up to 180, and you would get full marks if you just wrote down the answer. If you do it in your calculator, it's fine. 58 plus 72 gives me 130. So A is going to be 180 minus 130, which is 50 degrees. 50 degrees there. This one, we know that the external angle is equal to the sum of the two opposite internal angles. So B plus 42 will be equal to 128, and B will be 128 take 42, which gives me 86. So B is 86 degrees. Same thing here. We can do this with a number of different steps. So first of all, I can say that I've got a supplementary angle in here. So that's going to be 40 degrees to make those add up to 180. And so C must be equal to the sum of those two opposite internal angles. So C is 40 plus 71. C is 111. This one down here, here's my external angle and my two internal opposite angles. So D is going to be 32 plus 42, which is 74. So D is 74 degrees. This is enough in terms of showing the working out, so long as I have that correct from my calculator. Now, This is an isosceles triangle, and so these two angles down here must be the same. So that's 66. Add those together. 66 plus 66 is 132. 66 by 2, 132. And then I need to subtract that from 180. And that gives me 48. That's my answer. E is 48 degrees. Okay, 2 steps here. These guys are the same, but we don't know what each of them is. So let's call them X for the moment. What we do know is that together with the 44 here, they have to add up to 180 degrees. So that's 136, and then divide that by 2, we get 68 degrees. So this is 68, but so too is this. And then that's supplementary with F. So F will be 180 minus 68. It's not the only way of doing this. It's fine if you did this another way, 112 degrees. Okay, my printer went a little bit haywire with question 3, but the first 2 are fine. It started printing another page on top of it, so hopefully you can make out what we're doing. Now, I've got an isosceles triangle here. Those 2 sides are the same length. And I have an isosceles triangle over here, where these 2 sides are the same length. So we know that this is 70 down here. We know that that's 70. And we know that 180 take 50 will give me 130. And then we divide that by 2 to get 65. So this is 65, but so too is this. So A is equal to 65. Right, how does that help us? Well, we've no parallel lines or anything like that, but we have, there's a simpler way of doing it. I was going to do it using a rule about quadrilaterals, but this is easier. Those 3 angles must add up to 180 degrees. So 180 take 140, 2 times 70 gives me 40 degrees. So B is 40 degrees. Now, over here, we have an isosceles triangle. So whatever value is here, we must have the same value here. And those guys add together to give me the 105 that's out there. So C plus C is 105, and C must be 52.5 degrees. Okay, you have this in your book, and I hope you can ignore the extra thing that got printed on top of it here. So I've got an isosceles triangle here, meaning that if this is D out here, this is D here. And if this is an isosceles triangle here with E, this must be E as well. What else do I know? I've got 60 degrees out here, and I know that that will be those 2 guys added together. So E plus E is 60, and E is 30 degrees. E is 30 degrees. I also know that 2D plus 60 will add up to 180. So not only is this isosceles, in fact, it's equilateral. So 2D will be 120, and squeeze it in here. I'll just write it up here. D must be 120 divided by 2. D is 60 degrees. I know that's a little bit messy there, but hopefully you can follow. Let me know if you have any questions on those. Question 4, parallel lines and an isosceles triangle. So whatever X is down here, This must be x as well. I also have a Z shape here. So whatever y is down here, it's the same y that's up here. And I have an upside down f. I have an upside down f here. So the 65 degrees here is the same as the x here. So we can do our calculations. X is equal to 65 degrees because they're corresponding angles. And 65 plus x plus y add up to 180 degrees because they're on a straight line, they're supplementary angles, but we already know that x is 65, so 130 plus y is 180 and y is equal to 50 degrees. Okay. Next part here. Find the values of A, B and C in the following triangles. We have an isosceles triangle here. So A down here, A plus A must be equal to the external opposite angle. A plus A is 124, so A is 62 degrees. Isosceles triangle here, I have 35 down here, and they must add together to give me 180, so B plus 70 is equal to 180, 35 and 35 to give me the 70, so B is 110 degrees. But B is also the external angle to these two guys here. This is not the only way of doing it, so if you saw a different way to do it, that's fine. So B is going to be equal to 55 plus C, and C is going to be 110 minus 55, which is 55. C is 55 degrees. So this was isosceles as well. They didn't tell us that though. We know it after the fact. Excuse me. Okay, I have a triangle here. All three angles in it must add up to 180 degrees. 30 and 43 gives me 73. 180 minus 73 is 107. That's 107 in there. And this is 73 here. Supplementary angles. So this is 73 over here. And we can work out D because those guys all have to add up to 180. D plus twice 73, which is 146, is equal to 180, and D is 34 degrees. Zoom on to the next one. We have parallel lines again, and we want to find the angle DAE. So which one are they talking about there? DAE. It's always the middle letter. So here's the angle that I'm looking for. Let's call it A. Corresponding angles. You can see our F shape here. So that's 80 degrees. This is 80 degrees as well. And I have supplementary angles here, which means that that's 100 degrees. And of course the 125 out here must be equal to those two added together. So A plus 100 is equal to 125. A must be 25 degrees. Lots of practice. Parallel lines again. I have a Z shape. So if that's 80, that's 80 as well. They're alternate angles. We can also work out Y because we have a triangle. So 55 plus 80 is 135. Take that from 180. We get 45. So Y is 45 degrees. And then I have that those are on a straight line. X, Y, and 80 are all on a straight line. So 45 plus 80 is 125. 180 minus 125 is 55. So X is 55 degrees. We also could have worked out X by extending our parallel lines here and noticing that we have an F shape. We have corresponding angles here. But with all of these, there's almost always 3, 4, even 5 ways of working out the answer. And it doesn't matter so long as you can work it out. They might ask you to give a reason, and you'll just state the name of the type of angle, vertically opposite, 3 angles in a triangle, corresponding, alternate. But most of the time they just want you to calculate it. Now, the final question that you had for homework. We have another isosceles triangle, and we know that the external one here will be equal to those 2 base angles. So x plus x is 104. X is equal to 52. 52 degrees. And then this adds up to 180, so that's 76 degrees. And you can check 52 and 76 will be 104. Let's write down the answers as they asked them for it. CAB, that's the angle at A, but which angle at A? CAB, this one, 76 degrees, and ABC, this angle up here, 52 degrees. And that's enough for our working out and showing our work. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions on those, and we'll move on to the next topic now. Thank you.